Let's fucking do this. All right. Hey everybody, what's going on? What's up? What's up?
Then I almost started to burp. We're such professionals around here.
Look, man, sometimes the burps turn a little bit more. And this is one of those things that I don't like to think is coming in a small package, all right? Just saying.
Yeah, that is very true. That is very true.
All right.
What's going on, guys? How are you guys? Welcome back to the Moon Peak podcast.
Moon Peaking.
We're a little late.
Yeah, just a little bit.
By
just
a
little
week.
bit. A week.
Jay and I were not feeling it last
minutes.
weekend, so
we had to take some us time, which to be honest worked out great. I got to go hang out.
Technically yesterday. 2 hours early, so
you know what?
Usually we do this around 6. So I mean, like we're doing good. We're doing good things.
It could have been so much worse. You're right. Daedric, what's up, buddy? All right. So for anybody who's copping in for the first time, welcome back to the Moon Peak Podcast. I'm your friendly neighborhood Jay Sue, and you've also got your dumb dear Alt over here. Let's go.
What up?
Normally when we're hanging around here, we're talking about anything from mental health and games to what game is pissing us off right now. But today we're moving on from making fun of Ubisoft and quadruple A games and talking about how hype we are for Sega remakes to we got to play a little CIA, a little FBI action. All right, where we were
understatement. I mean, one of us did the other one? We'll find out.
Well, maybe. There's really, in my opinion, there's not a lot to be found out there. There's some rumors, but that's really it. You know, nothing's really.
Does it drive anybody else nuts when you switch your windows in like Google and it's this white window that's just like blinding and it just fucks your camera lighting all the hell up?
Yes,
and just it's so frustrating.
And if you got any decent monitor, it's gonna literally blind you. You got flashbang.
Yeah, that's what's happening right now, and I'm just like, I've been sitting in the dark.
Little vampire type shit. Let me see.
But no, seriously, welcome in, guys. So I proposed this, I would just say about a month ago, to basically debunk Bloodborne news, and Jay was the counter argument to this, I guess.
I guess that's a good way to put it. I like to play devil's advocate, and I feel a particular way about Bloodborne, and am angry about it regularly. But you can call me a fanboy, all right?
Why are you angry? Just because we haven't gotten a remake, or because we haven't gotten a port?
I understand why we don't have a remake, right? Understandable. From PS4 to PS5, there really isn't that big of a graphical
jump. They remade
jump.
everything else that doesn't need to be remade.
Okay, what did they remake specifically? Let's before we get into
Souls.
Demon Souls.
And it wasn't even that great.
Whoa, pause. Run that back. We wouldn't have everything else if we didn't have Demon Souls. It deserved a remake.
No, I said the remake wasn't that great, first off, because Elden Ring blew it the fuck out of the water.
Okay, but like revitalizing a dead game versus creating the first like real open world Dark Souls game from FromSoft. Didn't know how much I hated saying from FromSoft until now. It's kind of to be expected, because if you didn't play Demon Souls, you would know, oh man, I should probably go pick up this remake. It's gonna be great. But also, if you didn't have a PS5, because I don't think Demon Souls came out, there was no PC port of Demon Souls.
No, there's no PC.
It's
I don't even think that's gonna come out. Yeah, it's not gonna come out for PC.
No, I don't expect it to by any means. That's because, Sony has a problem letting other consoles and other avenues of procuring digital media,
Yep. And I just found out that Helldivers is a PlayStation exclusive, and we were lucky enough to get it on PC. And I feel like if it had not come out on PC, it probably wouldn't have done as well as it did.
Oh no, there's literally no way that Helldivers would have done anywhere near as good. Which no shade thrown to Helldivers by any means. I think it's a great game. It's fantastic to play with friends. But also at the same time, when you limit your sales to one particular console or one avenue of distribution, you're kind of screwing yourself at this point. That's the reason that Xbox is kind of getting rid of their exclusivity and saying, screw it, dude. We're going to make everything for everybody. Get rid of the middleman, And I think that's one of the smartest business decisions that Microsoft, which I don't think this may be the first or second time that I've ever been happy about something that Microsoft has done, that has done for their company, for the players and everything. To be real,
I'm sure we could come up with more. I'm 100% sure we can come up with other ones.
Xbox Live Arcade was great.
Dragon Age.
The first one?
Just Dragon Age as a franchise. Period.
Okay.
Fight me.
Inquisition's whack. I'll stand on that hill. Like I feel nothing for like Dragon Age 1, great. Dragon Age 2, still passable, still enjoyed myself. Can't give it a failing grade. Inquisition was
You
after
didn't
that,
like
right?
Inquisition? Why? What was the thing that drew you away from Inquisition? Just out of curiosity, because I actually enjoyed Inquisition.
I think a lot of it was I loved the fact that it was a single player game, and most single player games when they branch out to being a multiplayer experience doesn't do it well enough for me to be like, oh, I'm so glad that they went this route.
Oh, I never played it. I never played it multiplayer. I only did single player, so I don't even know what the multiplayer is.
I got it.
So
I ended up getting it to play with other people. I didn't pay for it. It was just like a thing that was gifted to me, and I was like, all right, yeah, for sure. So like, I'm not mad about it that I didn't get. You know, I didn't get to play it by myself, but it was one of those things where I wasn't really interested. After the first 2 games, I was really like, oh, okay, this makes sense. I'm happy that I went this way. And I could like dust my hands off of it and be done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can kind of feel that.
And single player going multiplayer normally doesn't work particularly well. If it was good, still single player, I probably should replay it again and just do it as a single player experience. But if it was just like Dragon's Dogma, who can complain? You know what I mean?
Anybody? Have you been on the internet? Is this your first time?
Yeah, it's my first time. Be gentle. I don't know where that came from, dude. But before we start digressing into how we feel about other particular games and different series, I want to make sure that we go back to the Bloodborne remake information war. So for the last week, 2 week, 3 week, 4 week, since 2015, people have been pointing out, hey, maybe there should be more things for Bloodborne. Hey, what if Bloodborne wasn't just a like a PlayStation exclusive? What if there was a remake or a remaster for Bloodborne? Look, it's not gonna happen. And I stand on that. As excited as I am. And
well, you're wrong.
No, I'm not, dude. All right. See, I'm glad that we got this out the way early. Okay. No PC port, no PS5 port. I don't think it's going to be happening. Probably, if it does happen, we're going to have to wait till next generation.
I don't think we're going to have to wait that long, but we are going to be waiting because there was something that was tweeted this month.
Are you talking about the link? Are you talking about the leak from fucking Silk Knight?
Yep.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna fucking pull it up, dude. Because I looked at it too, and I was like, all right, it's pretty damning for Silk Knight to be like, yeah, because it would have just been a quick, nah, not gonna happen. If there was legitimately no news about it. And I wanted to make sure I brought that up too. So for my first point, I want to make about this whole thing, there's still no PC or PS5 port. There has not been anything brought forth from Sony or from FromSoft about, hey, yeah, maybe we should drop. Sony doesn't care right now. Sony doesn't care what we want. All right. They were right about Ghost of Tsushima. You're right.
And I didn't think that was going to get a port. And on top of that, there's other things that kind of warrant it. Like we're getting new stuff, like the comic is coming out. I don't know. I don't think that has a release date yet.
I believe it's early June.
Okay.
I think it's like June 1st and June 4th, something like that.
Sony is not only a time vampire, but it's a money vampire, and they know what works for them. And then they partner up with From Software. They would be silly not to see and capitalize on this unless somebody has the IP rights, which I didn't dive that deep into it to see who has the intellectual properties of it, to see if they're even allowed. Yeah, so that I think that's the kicker right there is trying to get the IP from them. If they got the IP from them, I think that would help out, and it would probably happen a lot quicker. But the tweet is very vague, and it just says certainly. Or so the person asked, "Do you know something about Bloodborne?" He goes, "Certainly. The game will receive more than just a simple remaster, but it will take time." To me, that's indication that it's been thought about. It's either being worked on, and something's being done about it. Because the same thing was said about Anthem, and the game was almost 100% complete and was due to be released in a month. And then the CEO and the lead developers all quit. And then EA said, nope, we're not doing it anymore. And we're just canceling this whole entire franchise and fuck everybody. And that's what, but the game was done. So we don't know and there's literally, you can scour Reddit and everything.
I was doing a little Reddit digging, a little bit early, just so I can make sure I wasn't missing out on anything that was coming out in real time. Uh, and I really do understand the fact of it's not an old game. Like it's what turning 10 next year, but the servers aren't down.
No, is it next year?
Yeah, it came out in 2015.
Yeah, 2025.
Dark Souls didn't get a remake, or hasn't gotten a remake. It has gotten a remaster, but that was what, I want to say 10, 11 years. When did Dark Souls remasters come out? Hold on.
That I don't know. You have me playing that god awful game, and I regret it wholeheartedly. So I have nothing positive to say after playing. Like it's very hard to go back in a franchise and play the old games after you've played something that's so polished as like the sequel or the third in line, like Dark Souls 3, and then playing all the DLC as long as I have, and then going back to like basically PS2 days, and it's just it's so fucking painful. It's like people that play platformers and shit from like PlayStation and Super Nintendo days, and I'm just like,
if you think of, pause. Are you talking about you did not go back and play Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy?
No.
You're saying you didn't play Spyro Reignited?
No.
They're so good.
The only remake I went back and played, and this is because it came back from my childhood, and it was something that I just fell in love with when I was a kid, was Medieval.
Okay, that was Medieval. Goated. I played that on my PSP. I played on the OG PS, the great PS1. Really, really kind of goofy. And if you have never played Medieval, it's a action RPG is a strong word. It's an action game where you play as this reincarnated or this reanimated skeleton of a hero. Long story short, and it's got goofy physics. All the enemies are very fun, and it's got a like slight humor to it. It's not as crude as I would say of Ratchet and Clank. You know what I mean? But it does have
playing Ratchet and Clank right now. I watched them. I never could get into the series. There was nothing that about the game. It never drew me in. I know that every other furry in the world loves Ratchet and Clank. I just don't get it.
Lombax is dude, man. He's the Lombax with a wrench. Okay.
I don't yuck other people's yum.
Don't yum other people's yuck either, man.
that is true.
But Dark Souls came out in 2011 and the remaster came out in 2018. But I feel like that remaster, what did the first Dark? I believe first Dark Souls came out on. Oh, it came out on the PS3. So PS3, Xbox 360 days is when the first Dark Souls came out. 7 years after the jump from Xbox 360 and PS3 to PS4 and like PS4 Pros and everything, it kind of warranted that comeback. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. Like, but you have to understand, I started with Bloodborne. That was my Souls game. I was like, this looks really cool. I love anything HP Lovecraft. And when I started playing it, I'm like, this game is the hardest fucking thing I've ever played in my life. And then I'm like, okay, I'll pick up Dark Souls after I beat it. And I picked up Dark Souls and just absolutely didn't even touch it afterwards because I got my ass absolutely kicked. And then fell in love with the franchise. And then you're like, let's play Dark Souls. And I was like, okay.
I still can't believe you skipped 1 and 2 to go play 3. Granted that
you don't even need to know the storyline. You don't need to know the storyline.
You should know the storyline. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a purist.
I read up on it.
Good.
After I beat the third one and before playing the DLC, I was like curious. I'm like, what Ithril and all, like they were speaking about like, you know, how the magic happened, what happened to the world. And I was like, okay, so I had to look into it to figure it out. Like I had no idea what any of that fucking meant. And after I looked into it, I was like, okay, this makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. And it's fucking cool, right? You can't just pass up on it. All right.
I didn't. I read.
Good. But now you got to catch up on 1 and 2 so you can realize why everybody likes 3. But also at the same time, people still go back and play 1. There's still a devoted fan base for 2.
Everyone just skips 2 because they all say it was the worst one.
Actually, 2 2 has grown in popularity as of late, at least. Because people are recognizing it's just a different game, dude. It's not.
I'll just play 3.
I'm gonna play 2. 2 is still one of my favorites of the franchise. It's not my bottom Souls game by any means. It's not, man. Like I played
I think
Kingsfield.
the only From Software game that I could have done without was Sekiro. Like it just did nothing for me.
I'm not.
Found it boring.
I'm not excited about it, dude.
Yeah, have fun.
Sekiro has its own. Like the aesthetic, great, love it, right up my alley. I've always wanted to be a samurai, but also at the same time, it was the first time that I can think of. Hold on, I'm thinking through Kingsfield, Demon Souls, make a character, Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, make a character, Bloodborne, make a character. It's the first time that you had a dedicated pro tag in a FromSoft game. Kingsfield
seems oddly weird because the whole point of like the From Software games is the fact that everyone is not evil but good at the same time because they're like lawful. So it's like what they feel like they're doing is good, even though it's portrayed as evil.
And I didn't even like realize it until right now that was the case, and it might be another reason why I felt like I felt stifled. You know what I mean? I don't even know the dude's name from Sekiro. Like, what is it? His name isn't Sekiro, right? That'd be dumb.
No, I don't fucking know.
But
I played it for a little bit and I was just like, I don't like being locked into the same weapon. It's forcing you to be the same thing over and over again. And I don't like parrying. I've never done parrying in any game other than Bloodborne, where you pretty much had to.
Hey, you parry right now. I'm just saying. In Dark Souls 1.
Because I've been doing it since Lords of the Fallen. Because otherwise I was getting my ass absolutely kicked.
Shout out to Lords of the Fallen, dude. Still gem, or diamond in the rough, if you will. Which it's still getting better, by the way. If anybody's looking for a Souls-like to really give a shot, it's getting better by the update. You know what I mean? So
what information did you find that was warranting it to say, no, this is not going to happen?
Okay, besides the whole update of, oh, it's gonna be happening, but it's gonna be happening in the future. Look, really vague shit. In the current like economy of making games and shit, it's not good. You know? Do I think FromSoft is gonna end up fucking up and dropping the ball and having a lot of their developers leave? No. Like if you work in gaming and you work at FromSoft, you probably have one of the safest jobs ever. You know what I mean? Just because you do have such a dedicated fan base and there's so many people like lore librarians, lore masters for your games, that it's kind of impossible unless you change everything to microtransactions to be like, oh, you know what? I don't really fuck with FromSoft anymore. And to be honest, people still probably will pay for it. Yeah, legitimately. And at this point, that just sits in the back of my mind, because if you trust that a game will come out and that a studio is untouchable, it goes downhill most of the time, at least within the last like 5 to 10 years. Like with everything with Embracer, they ended up selling Saber Interactive. They ended up getting rid of Gearbox. Saber Interactive makes the Warhammer games, and Gearbox makes a bunch of shit, by the way. So at this point, I don't trust it. I'm taking everything with the rumor with a grain of salt, because you can't trust it. Like, it's a leak, yes, but also at the same time, there's fake leaks, and I don't really I like
you really can't trust a leak because you don't know if it's going to come out, even if they may have developed it. Exactly. They may have it in development, but it just may never see the light of the day. They might sit in a black box for the rest of its life. Like we don't know. But at the same token, there is that little bit of hope. But the other part of it is Elden Ring's coming out with more content, which honestly, I didn't see that one coming. I kind of hoped for it. Yeah. But at the same token, From Software has a nasty habit of, well, here's the game, and then we'll move on to something better afterwards and maybe use something from it. And that's pretty much it.
I think the only time they did that was with Sekiro, because Sekiro didn't have any DLC, did it?
I'd have to look it up, but I don't think it did. But Sekiro is a pretty large game to begin with. It's not a small game,
because FromSoft normally does drop 1 to 3 DLCs. I gotta say, because there was only one for Bloodborne, that was the Old Hunters. Then you have Dark Souls 1 had Manus, the introduction of hexes and dark magic. Dark Souls 2 had Scholar of the First Sin, which was like a whole new campaign basically, which is nuts. Sekiro did have 0 DLC. That's what I thought. Dark Souls 3 had fuck, dude. Uh, 3
A lot.
DLCs? 4?
Ring City
Ashes of
and
Ariandel.
yeah,
And there's
I
one
think
more.
that's it.
Ashes.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I can almost guarantee you that, dude. Hold on.
Now I'm looking it up.
Okay, dig that one up for me. Let me know. And so I feel like it's weird. I don't know how we got on this whole thing of DLCs. Well, you were
Because it
talking
kind of
about
ties in. Yeah, there's only 2.
Okay, so oh shit, there's only 2. It felt way bigger. Oh, we were talking about the fact that FromSoft does a game and then leaves it behind. They normally drop some DLC for it. Sekiro's the only one where they like passed
what
on
I
it.
mean is like they don't build up in the franchise and they're not doing it over generations and generations and generations.
Oh,
They
yeah.
build up the storyline and they let the story die. That's where it lays, and they move on to something else. They use that same platform, but they move on to something else.
Which is great because the stories are. I don't play Dark Souls for the story. I play Dark Souls for the lore, and then fucking cosmetic souls. You know what I mean?
Let's be
Fashion
honest, the
Souls.
story is the lore in its nutshell. Like that's what it is. But people bitch about anything Souls like because like it's doesn't have storyline or it's so hard to follow. It's like it's really not. I'm like, and even everything you pick up in the game has some kind of bit of a story to it. Like literally, even a fucking tree branch has a storyline in it, which is baffling, but it is. It tells you what it is, where it came from, and why to use it. So
which is weird, right? I can't think of a game before Dark Souls where I was like, all right, this weapon's got to do something different. You know what I mean? It's not just this. You know what I mean? And
no,
now,
I can't think of one on the top of my head either.
And now I just spend a lot of my time in other games that definitely have. It doesn't make any sense as to why I'm going through and digging through not just the specs, but also the history behind the weapon. Like other RPGs give a little bit of like flavor text, you know what I mean? But it's like looking at a magic card flavor text. It doesn't really make much of a difference in the long run.
No,
but Dark Souls is like,
but some of them don't.
Most of them don't.
On what you're picking up, yeah. It's usually like the main weapons, and that's pretty much it. And occasionally like key items that you pick up.
Yeah, I was thinking through, and it only gives. Yeah, Dark Souls 3 really only has 2 DLCs. I could have swore there was another one. That's so
Watching
weird.
this gameplay right now is making me really want to go back and play this, but I know I'm going to get really pissed off because it's nothing like what we've been playing.
Well, good news, by the way. If you're still interested in playing Bloodborne, the Return to Yharnam event is still happening from March 31st to April 7th, where everybody's creating new characters. They want you to summon in as many invaders, as many cooperators as possible. So everybody's going back to the game to draw up more interest in the same situation, which I find to be very odd for that to be.
Have we actually looked up what the player basis says right now?
No, I don't think so. You want to dig that one up for me?
Yeah, I'm doing it right now.
I find it really weird, right? I know we were talking about like, oh, this thing isn't gonna happen. Even though there's a lot of people wanted the remaster, the remake to happen. You know, why would it happen? You know, there's no reason to. I feel like this is really weird for this to just kind of come out of nowhere. Like, oh yeah, let's just all make this a 2-week thing where or a full week or whatever of everybody just playing Bloodborne again. Which like, cool. But who came up with the idea for this to happen? You know? And if it's just on Reddit, anybody can make an account on Reddit. No. So who's to say that the company or FromSoft or somebody in Sony was like, let's drop a little bit more, you know, interest to see if we can really persuade them to put the resources in to make this happen for the remake. I feel like that's an interesting way to look at it, you know?
So concurrently, there's 114,000.9 players logging in approximately daily.
Is that
total
on
players
Steam?
Is 20.2 million.
Is that just on Steam or just in or overall right now for servers?
Overall, I think it's just overall.
Which is nuts to have 114,000 people still playing a 9-year-old game and legitimately getting the community, because at this point it's less of a word of mouth type situation. It's more of a everybody understands that Bloodborne is great. Bloodborne's good. Everybody likes Bloodborne. If you don't like FromSoft's game, you'll probably still like Bloodborne. It's just the kind of reputation that it has. Um, and so I feel I'm a little distrustful and cynical in a lot of situations. So I can't really read the situation as, oh, it just happened to be a coincidence that we got an update on a leak about, hey, it might happen, it might not happen, and then the Return to Yharnam event becomes a thing, and it gets passed around like candy, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's what they're hoping for, to see what the, what's the word I'm looking for, the draw, to see if like people are actually still attentive to it. Like, it's still a good Souls game in my opinion. It's, even when it was made, like if they didn't update it, I think it came out and it was a fine game. It's just hard.
And it forces you to play dex build. Long story short, like you can't say, oh, I'm playing. You can play a little bit of a strength build, but you can't sword and board.
No, there's no sword and board in this one. I think I played a mage the first time.
Oh, there's definitely a board, but it's just 4 planks taped together with distrust and hatred. You're not allowed to have them.
I've never been a sword and born player, so you know that. I don't think I've ever was like, hey, let me equip this shield. I'm like, what's the biggest weapon I can hold?
I'm like, man, damn, that shit look heavy. Stab, 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 stab. Inflict some type of status.
I've always wanted to be magic, but magic is such a pain in the ass in these games to start off, and I'm just like, I don't have the fucking patience for that. And that's probably why I went and Dragon's Dogma. I went straight to an archer class. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna shoot things from afar. It'll be fine.
I think that's kind of hard mode in Bloodborne, because the magic isn't inherently, oh, these are the spells you have. You know what I mean? It's more it's more of an item thing where you're using it to either enhance your abilities or it's got an AoE, but it's really tricky to use. And I've never really paid attention to how well it's implemented in the game. The fact that you may have magic, but it's not like you are inherently magical. You just have the ability to commune with.
You have cursed items.
Exactly. And it fits really well into this. Like, could you imagine playing Bloodborne and firing like a soul stream? Okay, like, no, that'd be weird. It doesn't fit with the whole Lovecraftian angle.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It uses the curses and the madness, and that's the way it works for it. And then, like, the trick weapons were, I really hope some From Software brings those back in another game. Like, honestly, it was such a unique thing, and we already have weapons that have abilities. Like, just give us a few trick weapons. It doesn't have to be all. Just a few. Just a few. That's all I want. Maybe an axe or a scythe.
And you know, it'd be weird is if they were dex based, because, like, you know, hunters, it just seems odd that they don't have a dex. You know, I just feel like all trick weapons should be dex based. You know what I mean? Is that weird?
I think that's your preference.
Okay, explain to me. Okay, even in Bloodborne, the sword that sticks into the hammer or sticks into the cinder block. Okay, even that's like, okay.
You get a rapier and you pull out a giant fucking hammer. I'm like, logistically, how is this thing holding up? Like, this is a toothpick holding up like 4 cinder blocks. Like, this isn't gonna work.
And that's the cool part of it.
All that often.
It just makes sense that they would be dex weapons, because to activate the trick aspect, you have to have dexterous hands and fingers, all right? The fingies got to do the fooly cooly, you know what I mean? Like, it's got to happen.
I just think that you want this to come into reality because we're putting it out there, and you don't play anything but dex build when you start off any fucking Souls game. You refuse to play anything but a dex build, and you're like, well, if they do have it, I want to be prepared so I don't have to restat my character. I don't have to worry about stuff. I think that's what you're talking about right now. It's not the greater good of the community. It's Jay will be set if it does happen.
Exactly. Jay has sat here for so long, deprived of fantastic, great dex weapons that aren't hidden behind some grandiose quest and some weird combination of items to stick together to make them happen. I'm just saying. I'm tired of using, you know what I use in Dark Souls 3? Still sword, twin swords. The entire game.
I mean, they're still good weapons.
They're fantastic weapons, all right? But I'm tired of using early game weapons all the way through and having to make them work. You know why they work? Magical swordsman builds. Fantastic. I don't have any coatings? Hold on. Where's that spell at? That one. Or rub it on my weapon. Every enemy is my prey. All right? That's that adaptability incarnate.
And I think that Bloodborne forces you to be adaptive to it, because a lot of people that went into this game, they went in with either sword and born or, you know, shield and parry. And this game it forces you to think outside the box, like it really does, comparatively to the other Souls games. I mean, it's still got the Souls, you know, mentality behind it, but it's not the same. It's not the same to its predecessors. But sadly, I didn't find a whole lot to confirm it, but I found a rumor that it confirms it, which I guess everything. Yeah, but anything we find is technically rumor. You have to find, your challenge was to find something that debunks that rumor.
Okay, look. The reason that it's still a rumor is because there's too much, I don't want to say serious or real, there's too much credited evidence that it's not currently happening in like the near future. Is it ever going to happen?
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, probably. But when Hidetaka Miyazaki, the main producer and head of like FromSoft developers, is still saying that he can't give any hints or say anything about new ports, remasters, remakes.
Nothing.
You can't. Don't get me wrong. He's not saying no, but also at the same time, if it was something that was
that NDA contract is real tight around his neck.
Exactly, dude, and I don't blame him, and it makes sense, but I just can't. I don't want to give myself that hope of being like, oh man, Bloodborne's, it's really happening, it's really coming. Yeah, I would love for that to happen. Of course, I love Bloodborne, I love FromSoft, but I can't keep giving myself this hype just to get disappointed again. Why do you put yourself through this much pain? It's literally FromSoft and Sony going, how many times do I have to teach you this, old man?
I wouldn't say I'm hyped. I'm saying I'm excited if they make it, and I would like to see it. And it's something I would enjoy, especially since the games they're pumping out right now, if they took a lot of those aspects to make this better, I can't imagine what this would look like on the new engines. Like, it would look fantastic. It would look even more gruesome and gory and horrific than it already did. And I'm excited for that aspect if it comes out. Now, if they gave us something that was like Bloodborne, but a new kind of chapter into that world, I would be okay with that too. Like, I'm not complaining either way, because they're still putting out games. And I never thought that they would be putting out games after they made, you know, Dark Souls 3 and then Sekiro. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, that's the end of, you know, the Souls franchise. And then they're like, bam, Elden Ring. And I was like, this is everything that we've wanted, except for the love of God, From Software, get your multiplayer in order. It is horrible in every game. And you can't sit here and tell me you don't have anybody on your team that can't develop it better. I understand the concept behind it, but the network is just dog dookie. Dog dookie.
Why do you have to hate it so much? Just because you have to put your white sand soapstone down 3 different places, all right, in order for it to get picked up.
It eventually connects.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, what's wrong with
just
that?
Just allow us to connect through fucking Steam like you can do in Lords of the Fallen and play the goddamn game.
Sorry, can't do it through Steam. It's a PlayStation exclusive.
Well, who actually produced Lords? I actually don't even know that. Do you?
It was CI Games. CI Games. Who was the producer for? I don't remember the producer for.
Well, they're not affiliated with anybody then.
No. I think it was the same company that made the first Lord of the Fallen. I don't think it was like they passed it off.
Okay, to anybody. So that explains that. I just will say, even with Lords of the Fallen, as scuffed of a game it is, being able to jump in and out of your friends' games at will, and it just makes it easier. Same thing with Remnant.
Yeah,
bravo.
Remnant
right there
was surprisingly easy, even though we were legitimately playing on 2 different like launchers, I guess would be a way to say it. Like the first one we were playing through Steam, and that one was pretty easy. But the second one we were playing on, I didn't want to go buy the game again.
You made it difficult.
I didn't want to go buy the game again, man. Like it was, if it's free on Game Pass, why would I go spend the money on it? You know, like it's a fun game, yes, but also at the same time, can I rationalize spending the money then that I'm going to go back to it? No, not at all. You know,
no. It was a Souls game, I would say, and I don't like that the people compare it to a Souls game. I mean, outside of the dodging mechanic, it's really not a Souls game.
It's difficult, like between the bosses, like the general gameplay loop of Remnant is kind of in the same vein of it all.
See, when you and I are playing, it's not difficult. I don't find it difficult.
Well,
It's pretty easy.
it's just the bosses, really, you know. And once you realize that, hey, you can't take chances and get hit, then yeah, you take a little bit more of a wider berth and you kind of just run with it.
So, what did you find out about the comic, anyways?
Okay, so the new comic is called Bloodborne: The Bleak Dominion. It is a direct sequel to the first Bloodborne comic, Lady of the Lantern. I haven't read either one, but I've been bulking up my my bookshelf lately. So this might be the first like Western comic I get in quite a while lately.
So you haven't read the first one. So I guess I should. Is it a graphic novel, or are we talking a comic that's going to live?
It says comic. Like it describes it as a comic, not a like. I
hate buying comics, just to be very clear. I like buying traits. I don't like buying comics. I don't have that much space, and I don't want to have a bunch of fucking random, flimsy 20-page booklets laying around my house. I just want a trait. Just give me the fucking trait.
Okay. You could hear me out. Just get I don't want to say Ziploc bags, but you can get a variety of different cases for them, and just treat them like books. I also hate the idea of having
I have a case for my stuff.
Okay, because I also hate the idea of normal, like Western comics. It's just a pain in the ass to store them, and they're so easy to mess up. And it's the size of a normal like comic, so I want to say give or take about there-ish. It's not like fucking massive art book.
No,
levels.
it's your normal one.
Yeah.
No, and that's fine. It's just like I said, they rip too easy, they get destroyed, and it just bothers me, especially with something that I enjoy. So it's like I'd rather have a trait where I have the entire thing there. It's a thicker booklet, and I don't have to worry about it getting destroyed.
I also really I don't like getting excited about a lot of different comics because I get let down pretty often. And I'm also not like a super big comic nerd, whether it's DC or DC Image or Marvel or whatever you want to.
You don't strike me as a comic person. You strike me as someone that would read a graphic novel.
Yeah, I read a lot of manga, manhwa, Korean, Japanese, and Chinese, like manga, long story short.
I'm shocked.
Who would have thought? You know what I mean?
Oh my god!
But it's so much easier to either read them digitally or for manga. There's so many places where you can go buy them effectively and not have to go. I can go to Barnes and Nobles and get a book that comes out delivered directly to my house. I don't have to go to this. It's not seedy, but also at the same time, it gives me the same. A lot of comic book stores around where I am remind me.
I know where you're going.
Right, they remind me of the old like GameStop feel, dude. Where I'm like, I don't want to be in here for too long, you know. I'm the smell.
I have one called it's called Vault of Midnight, and it's actually a really nice shop, and they do board games and stuff like that. There's one in Ann Arbor and there's one in Detroit. I love going in there. They're really friendly. They have all kinds of stuff in there. It's not just exclusively. It's the closest thing to Gods and Monsters in Florida that I can get to.
Okay.
That's local to us, and Gods and Monsters is owned by Neil Gaiman. Well, he's the secret buyer for Gods and Monsters.
I didn't know that.
But yeah, and he's one of my favorite authors. So
I don't have any, like a lot of the comic books around here are comic book stores rather are either really low key or over tourist driven. You know what I mean? Like there's a couple of places, one called Planet Fun. Yeah.
In Savannah? Okay.
Yeah, there's one called Planet Fun.
I don't know anything about that area.
And it's really nice. It's got a lot of, it feels like part pop culture, pop retro angles. You can go and then go buy like a Nintendo 64, like straight out, no problems.
I like those kinds of stores though. Those are fun.
That's the only one like reputable one that I'll actively go like dig through their if it's like record diving but for comics. They have like 3 or 4 different large tables where you just literally start shuffling through. And I love that. I love that aspect.
Of those.
You had a couple of those like big comic books.
No, they're not. Where you can get the retro stuff. Like we had a couple of them. There was more, but I think COVID kind of killed that off a lot for us. because I know that Kurt used to go to them, and I used to enjoy going to them too because we buy random shit for our N64 and things like that. But it's funny enough we're talking about that. So you think that the Bloodborne war is going to continue with going into the next generation consoles? And my theory is that they are not going to make another console. They'll update the consoles, but I don't think they're going to be making any more consoles.
It's already been announced.
Really?
PS6 has been. I can almost guarantee you it's been announced already.
This is the next war we're gonna do.
PS6 announcement, news expected price, release 26 to 27, possibly even 28.
But
it's confirmed.
But my point of where I'm going with this is consoles are getting to the point where they're so expensive, you're gonna price yourself out of your own market. And people are just going to buy the console if they're dedicated. Like casual gamers will buy a console because they don't play things as much, but they'll buy a console like PlayStation to just play like 3 or 4 fucking games, which Sony gets their money regardless. But they're going to price themselves out because these last consoles were almost $800 as it is. So, and they went down by about $100, and you can get them for about $600 to $500 depending on where you get them in sales. But they're going to price themselves out to the point where you're already buying a computer at this point. And people will eventually, people aren't dumb. There are a lot of stupid people out there, but consumers have realized that we don't have as much disposable income anymore, and they have to spend more wisely with purchasing things. So the biggest fear I see and hear so much as somebody who can program a computer and builds them, and same thing with my husband, Kurt, is people have this fear of computers like, oh, what if it breaks? Oh, I don't know how to build it. I cannot express to you how easy it is and how many people are willing to do it, not to mention the amount of places that will do it for you for a charge of like $50 to $100, which is dirt fucking cheap.
Dirt cheap, dude.
And the console, that lasts you, 3-4 years? And then you got to buy a new one. Then you're buying new controllers and you have to buy new games for it. And that's money thrown away that you can't get. And that old console just sits there. Whereas you can sell your PC parts to somebody and you can just upgrade the new ones. And everything in a PC is just plug and play. It is not that hard.
Okay. All right. I'm going to break this one down because I'm going to disagree with you. I think it's going to be difficult for them to price out of their market. I really do. Because it's not the fact, like, it's just consoles don't break as often as they used to. I had 4 Xbox 360s, right?
Oh, I would agree with that. 100%.
And now we've had PS5 for what? 6 years? How long? When the frick did PS5 come out? It
hasn't been 6 years, has it?
I
can't believe it's been that long.
PS5 release date 2020. It's been 4. It's been 3.5. It was November
like
of 2020. 8 years,
and then we get a new console. It's like every 7 to 8 years is when we get a new one.
Right. And a lot of people I know that got their PlayStation early either had a problem with it at first and they got to send it back and got a new one. But I don't know anybody who has had to buy multiples of the PS5. And since there's going to be no competition besides Nintendo coming out,
I can't say Nintendo is in the same league as Xbox because they cater to a different market,
right,
and a different game player. So I never consider them, because I'm not saying that their consoles aren't good. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that their player base is completely and vastly different for the most part from Xbox, PC, and PlayStation. PlayStation though and Xbox have gotten drastically better with their warranties.
Oh yeah. For sure, they had
so to. I mean, the Xbox Red Ring of Death was a
meme,
horrible,
big memes.
Yeah. But you're still spending $800 to $1,000, and you can just get eventually you're pricing yourself out. That's what I'm saying. So you're already at the equivalent of a PC, and you could play virtually most, if not all, games except for PlayStation. Which, funny enough, most PlayStation games get released onto PC because they don't want to renew the rights, and they hold the rights for 9 months, and then if they don't renew those IP rights, they get released and then they get put on here. Now, if they own the LP like Bloodborne or Final Fantasy, they don't have to do that.
I'm gonna poke another hole in your angle of it being a lot of money. How much do you think a PS5 is right now?
Right now, I
Brand
think
new.
it's like 400.
It is 400 with a full game and a controller.
Yeah. Yep.
When
It's gone down.
when it did release, I believe it was 7.
It was 800.
It was at 800.
But you couldn't buy them because
exactly.
the scammers were buying them, and then people were spending $2,000 on a PlayStation.
Exactly. I don't blame Sony for the situation of, hey, we can't get these out fast enough. You know what I mean? Just manufacturing problems that was happening whenever, because 2020 was still height of COVID and everything.
But it was the people that were running the I forget what the type of bot it is. Basically, if it hits the market on, say, Walmart, they select them all and they remove them and then they resell them.
Yeah.
So no one can buy them online.
Which is still nuts to me, man.
But they can't stop that, and it has nothing to do with Sony. That's nothing to do with Sony or Microsoft. It's just that is assholes on the internet that are just, it's the same people that try to sell their tickets at a concert.
Scalpers,
they're gonna buy 50 of them, and that's what they're gonna do. It's just, you're just screwed.
Fucking scalpers, dude. But in regards to the peripherals and the cost and everything, I don't think it's that different. And to be honest with you, a lot of people will upgrade their PC twice every 2 years with various different pieces. But the peripherals, I go through a mouse a year for sure, just because of how often I go through like a $70 mouse a year for sure.
What are you doing to your mouse? That poor mouse. I have 2 mouses for my computer in the last 3 years. I think I just got a brand new one because I wanted a corded one, and the Dead by Daylight killed my left click. That was the only reason I bought a new mouse.
My left click either dies or the grip that's on the outside, because I do a lot of work on my PC in between like left click, right click, and middle mouse click. I'm always doing something, and then I have big meaty hands. So sometimes I have dents where my pinky sit on my. Let me actually. Can I show it real quick? I have dents on my mouse.
The average gamer isn't sitting in front of their computer and working on their home computer as well as their. Yeah. Bro, you.
Because it sits like this.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
It sits in my hand like this because I have big hands, dude.
I need a goddamn mouse. What the fuck?
I got big hands, man. And my mouse needs. I use my mouse.
Tiny mouse for your big ass hand too.
Once you find a mouse for a massive hand, man, like, you let me know, because every time I'm like, oh yeah, I'll go get a new mouse, I feel like they keep getting smaller and smaller. My big meaty claws keep enveloping this bastard.
Make a wider mouse, and I do like Logitech better, or not Logitech, I'm sorry, Corsair.
I changed everything from Corsair, man. I'll see. All my stuff is Logitech now. I use Logitech all the way through.
Logitech is good. I have nothing against Logitech. I like Logitech and I like Corsair. The only company I do not like is
Razer.
Yeah, it's because they have a Synops and a Cortex, so you have to have all these other programs that try to take over your PC while you're using everything else to use a mouse and keyboard. For what? RGB? I don't give a shit about RGB. I'm not looking down at my keyboard while I'm getting my ass kicked on a video game. That's not how that works.
I am sometimes. That's why I'm getting my ass kicked.
So you need color.
Exactly, but I gotta be honest, it helps out, man. Like if I'm playing like a real technical game and I don't have the time to be guessing at where my fingers are because my hands going all over the keyboard, having it light up and like be like, are my hands on greens right now, dude? I'm on my WASD or my QWERT. All right, it's necessary sometimes. Not to say that I couldn't do it without it. It just makes things easier. And so what if I'm blind? All right, colors are cool. Fuck you, nerd. Nothing wrong with it. Okay, but the thing is, I do go through peripherals kind of often. I don't go through keyboards that often. I change my keyboard once every 3 years or so.
That's not bad. It's basically $35 a year.
Yeah.
I spent about $125 on my keyboard.
What was my last Logitech one? I think this one was $200, $225.
Well, it depends on what you want on your keyboard and what you're looking for. I think if I were to do more video editing, I would get something that's more geared towards that versus I have a quarter keyboard right now
Oh, really?
with Cherokees. Yeah.
Oh my god. I have
I
a
went from
I'm on
a
a full keyboard.
a full keyboard, and I was like, this thing is fucking massive, and it's taking up all of my desk, and I don't even use the outside of anything past H. I never use because I'm like my hand's always on my mouse because when I'm sitting here playing it on my computer, it's usually doing video editing or playing a video game, so I don't
Yeah.
ever have to move my hand. I usually have my left hand on my keyboard and my right hand on my mouse. When I'm at work, I have a nicer keyboard because my hand's always on my keyboard. And I hate typing on a laptop. I fucking hate typing on a laptop.
Laptops fucking suck, dude. I don't understand the need for a laptop if you're not going out to like a coffee shop or going out to work or something like that. Fuck it. Just don't. I've seen people pull out whole fucking all-in-one monitors at a coffee shop and be like, fuck it, it's fine.
No.
Yeah.
No.
They build the stand for it and
I have
everything.
a docking station for my laptop. It's so that I can work remote if I need to and things like that. I've asked for a PC because I was like, I really don't want to take my laptop home because then they're like, you can work from anywhere. I'm like, you can suck a dick.
Yeah, sorry, fuck you. You don't know me. I do what I want.
But my whole point of the council thing is we saw an uptick, right, when COVID happened, where people were buying more PCs, were investing more into PCs and home gaming and home working from home. And I think that's when people started to realize that this is an easier route. And that's why we couldn't get PC parts because they were selling them too quick and they couldn't make them quick enough. And then you had the fact that everything got marked up to fucking hell and back.
200%. It was like a 20% markup, 30% markup.
Oh my God. And then you couldn't get them. And then they were reselling them and they're like, 4090 TIX. I'm like, well, first off, nothing needs a 4090 TIX on the market, not let alone you don't really need this for a video card. Like,
no.
It's so it's people being uneducated, not taking the 30 minutes to just kind of Google what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And going, oh, I don't really need this. Oh, I do need this. And for anybody that's actually looking for anything, where as far as hardware goes, whether it be PC or not, Tom's Hardware, use the shit out of that site. It is a very unbiased site that will tell you comparison. You can click on video cards, you can click on things and compare those two things to see what you're looking for, what they're going to give you, what the best output is. I've used that site for like 16 to 17 years and it's never failed me. And it'll even show you the best places you can get them online or in store. Hands down, this is not a plug for Tom's Hardware.
Sounds like a plug for Tom's Hardware.
But just doing a little bit of research helps.
You know what else that helped? Us figuring out that Bloodborne isn't going to happen.
I disagree still. I am going to take this one to my grave. I disagree. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying that I'm optimistic. Yeah, that's probably the best word I can use.
Yeah.
My fucking brain, I can smell toast right now trying to think of a word and using a vocabulary like that. But I think that they have a player base. They know they have a player base. And that's like saying, okay, well, Silk Song is never going to come out for Hollow Knight. We know it's been developed.
Yeah.
And we're still waiting.
We know Left 4 Dead 3's been developed. That's just stored in a black box in the back of, Valve's closet.
That's the key right there. I was like, well, Valve is fucking.
I can only count to two.
I don't want to go into Valve. That is, if we want to go into Valve, that's a whole different thing, and that'll take a lot more time because Valve has thoroughly pissed me off with the index, so I don't need to go into that.
Rightfully so. I understand where you're coming from that one. But I don't think it's going to be happening anytime soon. I think if it does happen, it's going to be 2 years at least.
I think if it's going to happen, they're going to do it on an anniversary.
Oh, they've got
That's my personal opinion. I think that if they're going to do it, it'll come out next year around November if they did it. Because they want it to come out around Christmas, because in the holidays, people will buy it. The people that like the game and know about the game are going to buy it. It's an uptick in sales, and it's a memorable mark that they can go, you can pay $70 to have this and replay it again because this is the remastered version of the anniversary. And it's fucking marketing in a nutshell. And you know I'm right on this. If they're going to do it, they're going to do it on a benchmark. They're not going to just throw it out there in the middle of July and be like, here's this new game. That's not what they're going to do. They're going to make it a benchmark.
Okay. I think if it does happen, it's going to be closer to... I think it's going to come out with or within 6 months of the next, like the PS6 coming out. I don't think it's going to come out before then. It doesn't make any sense because there's not going to be any big jumps as to.
That's a valid point too.
I don't think there's no big jumps in regards to the graphical updates or the power currently that isn't already out there on the market. But in like 2 years, will we have a whole new set of graphics cards? And for sure, because if you think that I think AMD's working with somebody to come out with. There's been a lot more handheld consoles coming out, which means AMD and Intel are getting their hands with a lot more developers of figuring out what's the best way to handle this or best way to handle that, and also selling that information back to what was last time, whenever it was Microsoft and Sony. They were selling it back and forth to let them know, hey, this would be a better way for you to run this, if this is what you're trying to achieve or what have you. So I think we're gonna, in the 2 years when we have another set of like graphics card, the 5000 series, you know, once that starts coming out, or like it starts rumbling throughout Reddit, I think we'll get a little bit more information, because at that point there will be a whole new benchmark that consoles have to set, because why buy a whole new console if it's not going to?
But that's another benchmark, though. That would be a benchmark for Sony, but that's also a selling point for someone to buy their consoles. So I agree with you.
Yeah. So percent wise of how likely it's going to be that the remake's going to be on PS6,
it's
for
still
me,
50-50.
I would say it's 75, like 80% like likely that it's going to happen with the PS6. I think it's like maybe. Actually, I don't even want to give it a percent.
That is because they remade Demon Souls and then sold it with the PS5.
Yep. And it's about that time.
Yep.
Let me.
I think we're both right on that one. We'll agree on that one. Just this one though.
Demon Souls. Demon Souls came out. Original Demon Souls. Let me pull that one up. Because the new remake came out in 2020. The original came out in 2009. So, if we want to go by dates, remaster for Dark Souls 1 came out 7 years after the original game. The remake for Demon Souls came out 11 years after. And we're at 9 years for Bloodborne. I just think if we're following timelines here and how things are lining up, it only makes sense that
developers do like to do that, because that's what, if you look at any Diablo game that's come out, there has been a book that's been released 11 months before the game comes out. And I called it when Diablo 4 got released. I was like, this book is out. I'm like, we're getting Diablo 4 this year. Sure as shit, we got it that year. And I was like, and at every year prior to that, that's what's happened.
So there's no way. So there's zero chance. I'm putting my foot down. 0% chance that it's going to come out on the PS5. Zero.
I don't think it will. I think they might build a port for it for the PS5, but that's about it.
Only after
PS5 is still new.
Right. If they come out with a port,
it's still a baby PC.
I don't even think they're going to come out with a port with it.
It's still in midlife right now, technically.
I feel like it's coming towards. Well, it's only been out for what, 4 years?
Yeah, four and a half. But my point is that most consoles last about 8 to 10. So we're at midlife for the PS5.
Well, hold on.
I know it doesn't feel like that because
console. Just because I'm curious, console generations. Because
they usually come out with like a slim or thereof and blah blah blah. So
let's see. First generation, second generation, third generation, the NES. They do them. Okay, so it's gotten shorter. Sixth, seventh.
Much.
Okay, so wow. I think it's getting shorter just because we are accelerating our technologies way faster than we used to. It used to be legitimately 20 years. Because let me see, the Sony PlayStation. When did we got PlayStation 2 in like? Oh Jesus Christ!
Now I remember.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about it now. Holy crap! Let's see. I wish I could have like a. That's what I'm looking for right now. 8 generations of video game consoles. Nope. Because the PlayStation, the PS1, that was 1994. Holy crap! And then the PS2.
I feel really old. You just dated the shit out of me.
and
Oh
PS2
my god.
dropped in 2000. So that was only 6 years. PS3 release date
Was like 2008 or 2007.
2006.
Really?
Yeah.
I was still in high school when that happened.
And then the PS4
Yeah,
dropped.
I was a junior. I couldn't afford it until I was out of high school, but I mean, like, hey.
And then it was 7 years between the PS3 and the PS4, because PS4 was 2013, and then PS5. So 7 years. 7 years is how long things are lasting now, because with a console, you can just release various different versions. You know what I mean? And that's what keeps the console alive. Oh, you have the original console? Well, like how Xbox did the Xbox One. It was Xbox One, Xbox One S. Then it was like the slim version. No, Xbox One. Then it was like the black one. Then it was the small one. And then they did the slims, I think. And then they did like a more powerful one. There were like 6 Xbox Ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
And PlayStation does it.
The PlayStation did it, but they didn't do it a whole fucking Xbox took that shit to another extreme.
Yeah. Let me see. Xbox.
They had like 7 every other year. There was another new console. Oh, this one doesn't have a drive. Oh, this one has extra storage. Oh, this one has a different graphics card in it. Oh, you can run this in the 4K gaming for literally one game, Battlefield.
Well, to be honest, Xbox and PlayStation did the same thing. Where they had the original. They downsized it as a slim version, and then they released a like more powerful one, either a more powerful or more accessible one. Xbox One had the Xbox One, the Xbox One S, Xbox One X, then Xbox Series X, and then they have the Xbox Series S. Like, we're not naming Teslas. Cannot, like, let's switch this up here. I didn't look at it until right now. Now it's a refrigerator box. Now it's a refrigerator box. All right, you can put whatever craft beer you drink in there. You know what I mean? And at this point, PS5 has the normal version, like the original version. Then they have the discless version. And do they have a PS5 Pro, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, they do.
I just remember being so mad at this boss.
Oh, the Cleric Beast?
Because I was like, okay, I know I have to farm a little bit, and I farmed, like, okay, I don't know how to level up, blah, 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 just to come in here and die, to move forward. I was like, what in the fucking ass backwards concept is this? Come to find out, that's going to just be the game that I'm going to fall in love with. I'm like, great.
Yep, I kind of expected. I didn't expect it to end in a dead end because it's so early in the game. You normally don't hit any dead end bosses until you like going against like ending bosses. But this one's like, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, you.
I miss Bloodborne, man. You know what? Yeah, I might go procure it on PS5 and then go back to the Return to Yharnam.
I'd replay that with you. And Bloodborne's network was not that hard to like. It was not like Dark Souls.
Ring my bell. Hey, are you looking for a bell? Yeah, I'm looking for a bell. Did you ring your bell?
I think you had to play so far in order for you to even get that. I think you had to beat the Cleric Beast or go past it, right, to get it.
I don't remember the breakpoint for it.
Yeah, I'd play this again.
I think it's only $20 on PlayStation for sure. But do you have a PS5?
What?
Yeah,
was that English?
You do. Yeah, you do. I remember when you got carried a PS5. Never mind.
Yeah, you remember the giant fucking blue and white box sitting in my living room where my husband's like, oh, you didn't get me anything for Christmas? I was like, it's sitting in the middle of the fucking living room and you've been ignoring it for like 2 to 3 hours putting together the Legos. Yeah, okay. Fuck.
Okay, these things happen, okay? It's outside of the range. It's in the peripherals. Doesn't exist.
He was laying on the couch. It was in front of him.
Okay, laying, it happens. If you have PSN service as part of the PlayStation collection. So you wouldn't even have to buy it. I wouldn't even have to buy it. That's nice. So I think I'm going to play it again, at least for the Return to Yharnam event that's happening right now. So if you have a PlayStation or if you have a PS4, PS5, and you want to get back in and reconnect with some homies, man, I say get after it. Return to Yharnam. Get those blood vials. Get fun. Disappointed. And let's start raising hell again. And one dig that I'm gonna throw out there, which I hope I'm wrong, that this is not a thing. I hope that this Return to Yharnam event does not become a yearly thing to hype up people for the release in 2026. Because
it's going to be.
It smells.
It's going to be a gotcha. They haven't done shit. in 10 years. And they're like, we're just gonna do this. And when you told me about it, I'm like, why?
Yeah,
Because that was the only.
it smells wrong. Like I can smell the bullshit on it, and like there's something extra to it. As much as I love communities for games coming together and breathing new life into the game and bringing more awareness to it, Bloodborne isn't a game that needed more awareness by any means.
No,
Everybody
needed more attention.
Yeah, so I find it a little bit odd that it came up around this time, especially with everything happening with Elden Ring coming out.
Convenient.
Because Elden Ring drops when? That June?
June or July.
I think
You're
every 3 months.
DLC update?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think every 3 months, something big's gonna come out. June 21st. Okay. I think something big's gonna happen. Like if it's not every 3 months, every 6 months.
I always give release dates at least 1 to 2 weeks, if not a month. Because a lot of times they're like, it's coming out this time. You go to look and it's like, it got pushed back a month.
I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna happen with this.
No, I'm not with this. Not with Elden Ring. But generally speaking, and you know what I'm talking about when you're like, midnight release of the game, and it's like, look, it's been pushed back a month. Oh, it's been pushed back for 3 months. It's like, fuck me. Halo, what was it? Fuck, what was the RTS of Halo?
Halo Wars.
Yeah, that happened with Halo Wars. It got pushed back almost 2 years.
Oh my god, I didn't know that happened with Halo Wars. I played Halo Wars a little bit, but I wasn't.
Yeah, the original date was like April 10th because I was excited because it came out on my birthday, and then it got pushed back by like a few months, then another few months, then another few months, and by that time we knew it was like almost 2 years. I don't know what the hell happened with that game.
Me at Doom Eternal.
I like the new Dooms.
Fucking fantastic, dude. And it came out 10 days before my birthday, so I like called off because I think I was still in college again. So it was our first day in class, and so I was like, yeah, dude, I'm gonna be in class. Psych, bitch, I got a migraine. Sits in there and starts listening to Mick Gordon going off. Well, it wasn't even Mick Gordon between the whole thing that happened with Doom Eternal soundtrack bullshit. But I'm not even gonna dig into that. We're not even gonna talk about it, bro. But that's where we're at in regards to information on Bloodborne and Bloodborne 2, as it were. It's not going to come out within the next 2 years. I know we're all excited and it would be great. And, oh man, let's all just get back to Yarnum. And they love to see those numbers jump up again. Don't get me wrong. They may give more resources in order to get it taken care of, but I don't think that it's going to be happening anytime soon because it just based on time periods and release.
I would agree. I think that's a solid point.
How releases have been going.
Neither one of us are right or wrong. We're stuck in the middle, and we're hopeful.
I'm hopeful, and also FromSoft has never really let me down, except with Sekiro.
No, it wasn't our cup of tea. I wouldn't say it was a letdown. It's just not. It's not for you or me.
It can be a letdown to us. You know what I mean? Not to everybody. I don't think it was like.
I know some people that liked it. I didn't. I don't.
Some people loved it, dude. But not my cup of tea, and that's okay, man. So if you guys wanted to know any additional information, there's still no PC port, there's still no PS5 port. There is a new comic coming out called The Bloodborne: The Bleak Dominion. It is the second comic that's happening that has come out, and it's a direct sequel to Bloodborne: Lady of the Lantern. If you don't have either of those, go check them out. And if you are interested in playing Bloodborne again, don't forget the Return to Yarnum event is happening from March 24th to April 7th. So you still have a week to get in there and go raise hell with your fellow hunters again and try to relive the glory days. If you want to look at it that way. It's more. If you're
looking for updates, I will keep our Twitter page that we now, a Twitter page.
Yeah.
And it's live, and it is podcast Moonpeak on Twitter. Neither Jay or I are big on social media, but it kind of keeps us intact with you guys, and we can find out your feeds on it. We are going to be doing our next podcast, though, will be a pre-recorded, and we will be putting it on YouTube as well as the last 2 episodes. We do have 2 new TikToks come out. All of our links are in the socials, and they're on our Twitter page as well, and it's the intro into Jay, so go check that out if you haven't done it already. We haven't done one for me because I'm dumb and I take no interest in myself, so I don't really have much to say.
I got you.
So Jay's gonna have to force me to do it, and then I'm not gonna edit my own stuff for me. Jay's gonna have to do that. So with that being said, please go drop a follow. If you want to hear anything, that would be a place to kind of leave it. We'll be doing some more things on the podcast, as well as pop culture and question of the day. That's coming up. Me and Jay are discussing it. We just didn't want to throw something out there last minute and, kind of just do it to do it. So we want to try to get you guys more engaged in the process, and you'll be seeing some new stuff come out as far as artwork too, and that will hit our Twitter as well. And it can also be found on our Twitter pages, our personal ones, which would be J2Su at J_2Su at Twitter, and then mine is the Alti at Twitter. But either way, yeah. So I'm really excited for the future.
We're really making strides here. This isn't something that we're. I'm trying to get my mustache like yours. All right. Mine, it's bushy, it doesn't grow in aggressively. All right, I'm pulling the whole thing together. I need to go shave. Actually, I'm gonna shave all of this off. I'm gonna look 19 again. Bushy. Yeah, dude, I know. I'm fucking looking like a goddamn wildebeest, dude.
You'll be fine.
But with that, dudes and homies and thugs and friends, I do appreciate you guys hanging out with us for another episode of the Moon Peak Podcast. Yeah. We haven't decided what we're going to be doing for the next episode. We might actually just put that out for social media so you guys can.
Yeah, we're gonna let's see what you guys think of it.
Yeah, so you guys can have a little bit of input on what we covered here on this channel, and on this podcast rather. And once we get it updated to where we can put this on Spotify and have all the audio and everything out there, you'll be able to listen to us soon. So hang out a little bit longer. Go ahead and follow us on social media at Podcast Moonpeak on Twitter for right now, and look us up at Moonpeak Podcast on YouTube. You'll see this lovely piece of art, and that's how you know you've made it to the right place. But for now,
I love that art.
It's so good. It's so good. But that's all I've got. You got any closing remarks to say to everybody?
I think you're wrong.
Oh my god!
And I can't wait to prove you wrong. And you guys have a great Easter.
Oh yeah, it is Easter. Everyone, thanks for hanging out with us at least a little bit on your probably busy family Easter if you celebrate it, and if not, get after it. It's Sunday. You probably have the day off. I'm happy for you. Way to go, hang out. But the Moon Peak Podcast is out of here, and we'll see you guys on the next peak. See you.
Bye.